WrestleMania 6 took place in 1990, which would make me 9 years old. When I watch WrestleMania 6, this is a WrestleMania that was really trotted out as being one of the best WrestleManias last year after WrestleMania 30, with the Ultimate Warrior going into the WWE Hall of Fame at WrestleMania 30. He had his tragic passing, and this was one of the things that they kept putting up for you to watch on the live stream, to sort of remember Ultimate Warrior at his highest peak of his career, winning the championship from Hulk Hogan, and it's what you remember. I mean, it's Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior, the Ultimate Challenge. It's on the poster. It's the biggest match that's on this card. When I looked at this card up, I couldn't believe the fact that they hosted 14 matches on the main card, including one dark match, making 15 matches that they saw that night in Toronto. This was the first WrestleMania that was held outside of the United States, them crossing the border and going to the new Sky Dome. This was supposed to be like the state-of-the-art new domed stadium. It was the big deal back in the day that it had a retractable roof that would open and close. It just blew my mind. Around this time, I think the Blue Jays were starting to become contenders, so they were on television, and every time they showed a game from the Sky Dome, or I saw it in pictures, it was a must-see event. So actually WWF going there to host a WrestleMania was a big deal. The next time I would probably see something big out of this was when the Blue Jays would go on for the World Series. I believe that would be 1992 and 93 is when they were at their peak. Of course, beating the Braves and the Phillies. Everybody remembers Joe Carter and Mitch Williams. I believe that was it. It had to be in Toronto. But really, really good stuff. Everybody knows the build-up to Hogan versus Warrior would be at the Royal Rumble 1990. Warrior and Hogan came down to each other. It's one of my favorite Royal Rumble spots of all time. Out of all the matches that they've ever done at the Royal Rumble, having Hogan and Warrior bump into each other, and Warrior's beating his chest and Hogan's looking at him. He can't tell if the Ultimate Warrior has a stronger force than Hulkamania. And these guys, basically they lock up and then they hit the ropes. They're running back and forth, side to side, crossing, and everybody's just waiting for them to hit each other. And these guys really do nothing. And the crowd is just going crazy. It's a feeling that if you saw this as a kid and you watch this, the world stops spinning. And you just sit there and you just watch this. And from there, Hogan would challenge Warrior, and then Jack Tunney would step in and make the match, which would be the Ultimate Challenge, the WWF Championship going up against the Intercontinental Championship, and both belts were going to be on the line. Looking back at this match, how did I not know that Hogan was going to lose? I feel like such a goof to the fact that I thought Hogan was actually going to beat Warrior. What was Hogan going to do with the Intercontinental Championship? I have no clue. I remember telling my friends basically a lie. I remember telling my friends that after Warrior had taken the WWF Championship and become WWF Champion, of course he was going to, before they had crowned a new Intercontinental Champion. I remember telling my friends some stupid story about Jack Tunney offered Hulk Hogan the Intercontinental Championship, and he turned it down because if he wasn't going to be the main champion of the company, he didn't want to be champion at all. And how funny was I? I didn't know about any of the backstage politics or anything like that, but that's Hulk Hogan to a T. But I remember that from hearing Dave Meltzer with Wrestling Observer and things like that basically the plan for Hogan and Warrior was that basically Ultimate Warrior was going to become the face of the company. Shortly after this, Hulk Hogan left WWF to go film, I believe, Suburban Commando. It was a big movie with Christopher Lloyd, and I can't remember who the actress is, but she was the actress from the Popeye movie with Robin Williams. She played Olive Oil in that, and I guess that was sort of like a big star at the time. Me not being remember her name all these years later. I guess she's not the biggest star in the world. But Hulk Hogan was like a alien from outer space that came here to protect the Earth. I remember the movie. I don't remember the plot that well. It also stars a Undertaker. I believe it's the only movie that he's ever been in. But he looked straight out of his WWF at the time. He's got the beard and the white face pretty much. I think he plays another alien that chokes Hulk Hogan in an elevator. But, he would come back at SummerSlam to fight the Earthquake in a big main event match there as Ultimate Warrior fought against ravishing Rick Rude. For there we go to the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan coming out. I believe it's Gorilla Monsoon on commentary with, you can cut the tension with a knife. Just, how big this was, as they were coming to the ring, they interviewed fans that were piling around, buying their hot dogs, buying their nachos, their sodas and their beers before the match, asking who they thought was going to win this. And it honestly was 50-50. Some people really thought that Hogan was going to pull it out because we'd been to WrestleManias the year before, minus WrestleMania 4, when Hogan lost in the tournament to Andre the Giant by double DQ. We'd never seen Hogan lose a big match on the big stage. The Ultimate Warrior was the guy that had been in the company for a short time. He had run through a lot of guys, and people were really, getting behind him. But how many times had they built up a big guy and Hogan just beat him, and they just move on to the next guy? So, it was 50-50 in the match. You can say the Ultimate Warrior gets blown up in it, but I don't know. Honestly, when I watched this match, Hogan and Warrior put on a damn good wrestling match, and I'd still watch this like I was a little kid back in the day. It the first time I saw this match, I knew that Warrior had won because basically they had rebranded all of the shows that, it wasn't the new generation like it was with Bret Hart starting it over, but I remember the first episode of WWF Superstars, which came on the next weekend, it had a brand new opening with Ultimate Warrior holding the belt, so I knew that Warrior had beat Hogan, but I still, when I watched that VHS, I wanted to believe maybe they were wrong, and maybe Hogan found a way to pull it out, but Warrior wins the belt, and then you can go and you can talk about what happened after the match, but Hogan going out of the ring and crying, and taking the belt, handing it to Warrior, sort of passing the torch, and then the camera staying on Hogan as he pulls away. A lot like with Rock and Cena after WrestleMania 29, the camera stayed on Rock, and Cena just stood at the top of the ramp, just waiting for the camera to finally pick up on him, like, hey, I won the match. It's basically a lot of the same thing, but the fireworks go off. WrestleMania 6, damn good WrestleMania. Should be on your list. If you've got a few days and you got some time, make sure you watch this one before WrestleMania 31.